to expand a little bit on the Boolean tutorial that was posted in the fall, we'll go over a couple more sort of techniques that are useful here. So let's say we have a wall that looks like this. For the sake of what we're talking about, you could also think of it as a roof. You can think of this as whatever kind of angled extrusion that you'd like to think of. So let's say we want to make a hole, make a window through this wall. So there's a couple of different ways that we can do this. I would recommend probably going into one of your side views and drawing that window at exactly the size that you want. So let's say that we want it to be, my units are all over the place here. So let's say we want it to be a 3 by 3 window. And then let's say we know roughly the location of the center. We want it to be on the center of this wall. So what we can do here is we can move it from our midpoint, and then we can move it to our midpoint here. And then we can do a simple rotate, so we can rotate from there to there. So this will help us get it actually onto the object. And then we would be able to move it into place vertically. So obviously you would have a level of precision along with this. And then let's say if we wanted to do, if we also wanted to put another one, so if we want to put an even gap between these, and then we want another one. Okay, so we have 3 windows that are on this wall. So the first thing that I would recommend doing is not starting with these pieces actually on your wall. So you can see that we map them directly to that surface. So if we're trying to remove these, what I would recommend doing is taking all 3 of these and moving them out in a direction perpendicular to the wall. So the way that we're going to do that here is we're going to actually take this, and we know that because of the way that we drew it, this is actually a right angle, so this is a perfectly straight segment, and we'll move those out from the wall. And now what we're going to do is we'll extrude these through. So there's a couple of different ways to do this. So if we look at first doing it without these being solid, so we're just going to go ahead and extrude them all the way through. So I wouldn't recommend here trying to go at exactly the thickness that the wall is, because you run into tolerance issues. So if you're making a sort of punch out of a wall, I would just go totally past on either side. And then here we can do a Boolean split. So the surface to split is going to be this one, and we're going to use these guys to split it with. So we're going to go ahead and delete those, and then we can go in and delete those pieces, and we'll have our windows punched. So some things to remember there. This piece has to be totally solid. These pieces do not have to be totally solid for a Boolean split to work. So another option would be if you take these and we're going to extrude them through, and we're going to now make them solid. So once they're solid, we can actually do a Boolean difference. So the surface to subtract from is going to be this one. We'll hit enter. Surfaces to subtract with are going to be these. Delete input will delete these as well as the little openings in the windows, and it will leave you with something that looks like that. So if you're confused on how to do the actual Boolean operations, I would recommend going back to the tutorial that's posted in this box from last semester. But if you have any more specific questions on how to go through and do specific Boolean operations within your projects, be sure to let me know. If you're confused as to whether your surface is actually solid or not, one of the commands I use a lot is called show edges. And what it should come up with on here is no naked edges, no non-manifold edges, and that will tell you that your surface is actually totally solid.